For more, Yuval Weber joins us now. He's a research assistant professor at Texas A&M's Bush School of Government and Public Service in Washington, D.C. I guess the headline there, Blinken and Lavrov meeting. It's a short one, about 10 minutes. What do you make of it?
Well, at least they spoke for 10 minutes, which is better than the usual where they speak for 0 minutes.
I guess everything's an effort, I guess, at some point to get to an off-ramp. China has come up with this 12-point plan on the Ukraine conflict. Part of it is, talking about ceasefire and perhaps, a push for peace talks. Do you think that's going to gain much traction?
Probably not, because one of the things within the 12-point plan is that, as you said, it basically requires or suggests that a ceasefire will allow a lot of other good things to happen. But at this point, Russia has, taken the land of Ukraine that Ukraine is trying to fight back. So to the extent that any ceasefire occurs, that would be very beneficial for Russia, and very negative for Ukraine. So it's not going to get enough buy-in on the Ukrainian side to make much of a difference. It also shows over the course of the G20 that China's really tried to help Russia effectively not lose this war, or to try to find some sort of way out of it that doesn't embarrass President Putin in some way that makes him want to dig in even harder on this.
Were you surprised at all that there's no communique?
So sure. So there, obviously G20, 18 of the countries wanted to have a statement that effectively criticized Russia, like when you boil it all down, and Russia and China were the ones who blocked it. So they didn't get the unanimous communique that might have otherwise been expected. And that reflects the reporting that your reporter just had, which is that there are two different worlds out there. One of which is clearly buttressed by China, which is supporting Russia, and the one that's effectively more or less the other countries of the world. And that's obviously in a certain sense unfortunate because it has these Cold War overtones, but that's the nature of international politics at the moment.
What needs to happen to create some kind of pathway or off-ramp to end the fighting, do you think?
It's difficult to say for that because both sides still believe, even more so now than at the beginning of the conflict, that they can still win. The Ukrainians have fought very well over the past year, and we just passed the 1-year anniversary of this phase of fighting, and they believe that with tanks and other armored vehicles coming into the fight, Russia's current offensive not doing very much, that they're going to be able to retake more land over the course of this year. And obviously from the Russian side, they truly believe, and they talk all the time, that they're just quantitative advantages over Ukraine. More than 3 times the population, they have hundreds of thousands more soldiers that they've mobilized or otherwise had volunteer and through mercenaries, etc., that can be brought to the fight. They don't show, particularly from President Putin on down, that they are going to countenance any settlement short of total victory. And so when both sides think they can win, that's a recipe for continued fighting until that's not true for at least one of them.
Let me ask you about Chinese Foreign Minister Qin Gang. He's at these G20 foreign minister meetings, had a meeting with his Indian counterpart. What's your takeaways about his efforts there at these meetings?
So sure, so he's obviously trying to do the best that he can in the sense that Russia is the, it's a French partnership with no limits, the all-weather strategic partner, things of that nature. So the fact that China is backing Russia more than Ukraine is they don't want Russia to lose. And at the current moment, the reporting that's been, here in Washington over the past couple of weeks is that there's been rumors, or at least, reporting from the, journalists close to the Pentagon, that the Pentagon and the White House are very worried that China is going to give lethal aid to the Russians in order to ensure that Russia doesn't lose. And so it's in that universe that the Chinese foreign minister is trying to find some way of getting international buy-in to find off-ramps for Russia that Russia can't get on its own right now.
Yuval Weber joining us from Texas. Thanks so much for that observation.